Yeah.
I'm good, thank you. Thank you, I'm good.
Happy New Year. Nice to see
Yeah,
you.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you. So, how's weather there?
It's actually cold. I feel like it's getting colder every day. What about there?
Oh, we had a plenty of snow last 3 days. I not left in my house. So today I came out to work. So otherwise I was fully packed.
Oh, it's like the snow is happening that much?
Yes,
That's
plenty.
nice.
Where I'm working at. This city is no, but in my city, it's only 12 miles away. We had a plenty of.
Okay.
It's a full of street.
Oh,
Luckily, I managed to pull out my car today, but otherwise it was very difficult for night.
yeah, it must be.
Okay, how's everything there?
Yeah, it's fine, Alhamdulillah.
Good. Okay, we'll start then. Okay, so before starting, we'll go through the unit content, what we're supposed to next few weeks, and then I'll go through the things accordingly. Okay, welcome. Thanks for joining. So, of course, we are starting new subject. Give me 1 minute.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yes, is the correct unit. So,
Yeah, yeah.
sure. So, we're looking the policies and international development within tourism industry. And the aim of this unit really develop a good understanding about how we can set up the policies and different theories we'll discuss. So each lesson will go through one learning outcome, and during our meeting, be able to analyze the concept of the theory of public policies. So the key will be the public policy. So any public policy will make we focus on three P's: profit, planet, and people. Profit, planet, and people. So if we earn profit, we will sustain. If we care about the planet, not environmentally polluted, so that's really we need to be, and we have to promote the welfare toward the local jobs, local ingredients. So that's which will promote local industry. So we have the assessment criteria, critically evaluate the different approaches, summarize the evaluation of the tourism policy, and multiple nature of the contemporary tourism policies. When we say contemporary, the current issue, within that, to discuss the policies towards theories of state of approaches will go to government involvement and multi-scale. That all will be in our discussion. Next lesson will go through LO2, following LO3 and LO4. Each lesson will LOs, which will be discussed, and all recommended resources available through. And these are some general article and couple of websites can be used. So that's quite good to use. So let's start. Any question, please? If you have, you can drop me and you can ask them.
Oh, okay, okay.
Thank you. Okay, welcome. So as we discussed today, our LO1 learning outcome 1. Okay, those are listening, please. If you have any question, you can drop me an email and versity.co.uk, and I'll try my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, so as we mentioned, the aim of the unit and the content which we'll go through. The theories and government involvement and multi-scalar approach all will be in our discussion. Okay, so welcome. Okay, so study of the public policy for tourism is quite crucial, because always good to be involved the local stakeholders to make these policies, because sometimes we make the policies, but these are again the sentiment of the people. Those we need to be make sure we meet their expectations as well. So that will be related to the tourism and development. Public policy is the critical field, the usefulness for economics and social development, as well as promoting the job market within certain areas. That's really we need to be make sure when we do so we look all these factors in mind, so we can make accordingly the policy, examining their relevance and application. Okay, so when we'll say the public policy, framework provides the structure within the tourism policy, then formulated and implemented. These frameworks includes rational model. So what is, as the word indicate, the rational. So like you can make the things for time being. What is the sustainability like on the sea and seaside, or the flooding like is happening in the Middle East, this time the flood. So rational model. So you have to look at that, put in the risk for. So we have to making any policy do the risk assessment for this. Okay, so policy decision should be, when we say decision making, it's selecting the best course of action, which is rationally the process of identifying objective, generate alternative. Various alternative means second plan or the contingency plan, evaluating the alternative and selecting the optimal choices within the cost and the benefit of each option. Tourism that might involve the setting the clear tourism development goals, why we're doing it, what is the purpose if we want to promote, and as well we want to protect the local resident interest as well, evaluating different strategy to attract tourists and choosing the most effective strategy. Maybe effective can be reducing the taxes on certain areas. Then incrementalism, which is contrary to the rational. Incremental suggests that the policy evolve through the small adjustments. So we can look around like policies in UK, maybe it's not same policy, but little adjustment. So we use the word think globally and act locally. So you have to look around the policies meet with the local culture and the requirement. Like we have the national minimum wage here, any policy, so you have to really persuade the employer to pay national minimum wage, £12.25 an hour. So at the moment from 1st of April. So that's which is comprehensive. It used to be 11. So with little policy with career training in the context of the tourism, this might mean gradually introducing new regulation like toward the cybercrime, toward the bullying, toward the data protection, toward the AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and these, because is entire system, so there is a huge impact. Then next is the mixed scanning. Scanning is like environmental scanning. This approach is combined elements of the rational model and incrementalism. So just that the major decision should be made through the comprehensive analysis, and while smaller decisions can be made incremental. Yes, so through comprehensive analysis, so we look the economics, we look the social, we look the stakeholders, different perspectives. So not just one perspective, the central government what the local government want, their interest. So that's we need to protect as well. So tourism policy, this could involve major strategic planning, long-term sessions, and complemented by the ongoing and smaller policy adjustments. So yes, so we can look around the local people's views, we look at the overall country what we want, so we can envision the governance in the tourism policy refer to the structure and the process that ensure the effective management of tourism resources. Key aspects include the stakeholder involvement. When we say stakeholders, mean anyone who has any interest in the business is called stake. Stake means interest, desire, and action. So some can be internal stakeholders, some can be external stakeholders. So like when we setting up the immigration policy toward the tourism, like in the Middle East, Eastern countries, the government, UK government remove the visa restriction. They can be get the entry to come in the UK, so they're coming now on the weekend. So that's hospitality industry and tourism industry is promoted, but they know all the various stakeholders what backup checks need to be in place, and the security agencies and all. So we need to look around the government agency, private sector. So other is the private public-private partnership. Triple P is very important because government wants some investment and the public sector will entities do, the local community and tourists. So ensure the policies are comprehensive and consider the interest of all the parties involved. Okay, public-private partnership, as I mentioned earlier, the cooperative agreement between the government and the private sector. That's the huge, because the fund can't be provided by the government sometime, so we have to look around in terms of the perspective. So in the tourism, public-private partnership can facilitate the development infrastructure and marketing initiative and sustainable practices. That's which we can promote. So we have different theoretical approaches to the system theory is views the tourism as a complex system comprising interrelated component, which is interrelated industries like and it's mean you have the infrastructure, rail, taxis and all well regulated and always good to be these and then information centers you should be developing. So including the tourist destination attraction sports services and policies are designed to be managed and interactions with the system to achieve the desired outcome. Desired outcome like we want to promote the reduce the unemployment in certain areas. We want to connected the industry we want to promote as well to tourism industry. So the system theory emphasis need to be holistic and integrated approaches to the tourism policy. Sustainability theory, which we just mentioned, 3Ps, profit planning, meeting the needs of current generation without compromising the needs for the future generation. So the tourism development should meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation. If we're polluting, if we're making the shortage of the things, like not building or using the land, without planning, making the flat and infrastructure, and what will be happening in the long run? There won't be land available for agriculture purposes. So it not meet the needs for the future generation. If we have a conflict with other countries, so how will we grow? Because things that also need to be planned. Planning economic, social, and environmental objective. So the key elements include environmental sustainability policies that have to be like in the.
Sorry, just 1 minute. I can hear and understand you clearly, but I think your screen is stuck.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine, because I was just yeah.
Thank you. Is it better?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So when we look in the environmental sustainability is very important because like in the government is introducing the law like use the paper straws in a cup instead of the plastic one because it can be more we can recycle them appropriately and that's less impact on the environment. So we have to think about like solar panels and other the natural resources, reducing the carbon footprint, biodiversity, and for example of including the promoting ecotourism and like cycling and are we using the electric cars instead of other diesel one we are banning, are we charge is called carbon entrance fees, certain area, like if you want to go in central London, you have to pay £15 per day. If to certain areas, if your car not meet the eco requirements, you can't be drive or you can't do for the business purposes in certain area. So that's that's really the policies we can develop. Social sustainability, ensuring that the tourism develop the benefit to the local community. If you're getting like gas in 1 hour, you're getting the ingredient from local and that's the farmer buy it but actually local people are suffering. They not are being the big player, they can are this big supermarket not paying money to the local farmer on time. That's that's a huge that's not really promote sustainability socially in the long term, promote the social equity and the policies. We need to be community based tourism, like the community will get benefit. So we can say come on because the local employment, local resources preservation program, that's all can be used. So we can look around the economic sustainability, creating the policy that ensure the long-term economic viability. So if we look around the per capita income local, we can look around the standard life, the basic needs, fulfill are according to the Maslow hierarchy of needs, those we need to be keep in mind when we making the policies. Product support to the small and the medium enterprise and investment infrastructure. Institutional theory, that's examine the role of the institution, formal and informal role, norms and organization shape the tourism policy. So we need to be consider how the institutional arrangement influence the policy, not the politically motivated, like building the hotel, then the new government say, come on, you can't, and you have the fine again. The court cases come due to the political influence. That's the policy not work for the longer term, and the country suffered. So we facilitate the effective implementation, weaker institution, and the higher hinder the progress. So institution, law, and the justice system need to be in place. Okay. Behavior economics. So we apply the psychological insight in the human behavior, explaining the economic decision. So sometimes maybe human hate foreigner to come in our areas and look at different faces, but we have to guide them. We have to teach in school, what benefit can bring to these, destination accommodation activities, and designing the policies nudge them towards, sustainable practices. Okay. The application of the theories are, so we have to illustrate the application of these theory. Consider the development of sustainable development policy. Coastal destinations are facing environmental inspiration due to our, thus we need to be make sure rational model authority could, start conducting the comprehensive assessment of the environmental impact, clear, and the feedback. The feedback is also known as a feed forward, various strategies to mitigate the impact. So risk and assessment. Risk is mean the probability or the chance of happening. So we have to clearly assess those risks. Incrementalism policy adjust, could be make incremental, such as gradually introducing the limit on the visitor number, increasing the entrance fees on the sensitive areas. So we have to protect the local interest. So system theory, the policy would be need to be considered entire tourism, including local businesses and the natural resources to develop, integrated approach, not right. So we have to be farmer directives and all of the aggregations and all of the authorities should be work together, setting up the policy. Sustainable theory policy would focus on the balancing the environmental profit and eco-friendly in the local community. Strong institution would be essential for enforcing. So police, enforcement agencies, criminal, and we have the disaster management system in place, a disaster in the country. So in the tourism industry, when we're making the policies, behavior economics to understand the tourist behaviors to help effective communication strategy, encourage environmentally responsible. So protecting our less usage water, other campaigns, these need to be designed and promote, because if we don't do it, what will be happening? This can be huge impact in the long run in the organization. So we can look around when any policies we're making, so we can explore about the analysis of the public policy concept, the theory for the tourism revealed complexity and the multi nature of the field, which we need to be effective tourism policies require blended theoretical insight and the practical applications. We have to make sure we want to really the practically is viable. Like we want to be allow people to go in the northern area, but we need to be look around what is the risk factors and what will we bring. Do we have the facility being set up there or not? Do we have set up the airport, set up the road infrastructure? So these need to be practical application and considering diverse interests. Maybe like the diverse interest, we have to involve the stakeholders, because sometimes we make the policy but we don't involve the local stakeholders and we not meet their interest. So that's the biggest problem we have. Ultimately these create a lot of problem in the conflict between central government and the local area government, because all the funding not being given to the local area. That can another problem we have, especially in the developing countries. Okay, so by leveraging the various the framework and the theories, policymakers can develop comprehensive sustainable strategy that promote the long-term viability of the tourism sector. So we can explore these, like we see in 1.1. So what you can do, critically evaluate the different approaches and can be taken. So as we mentioned earlier in 1.1, so tourism policy is a complex domain which we can track with the various aspects of the economic, social, equity and environmental. We look around the multiple theoretical aspects of and approaches, and this section critically we can evaluate. So always look the pros and cons as well in different authors' view when we do assignment. So those we can include. Okay, list theory, which is post, which is policy decision result of the competition bargaining among diverse interest groups. So we have the competition commission, and so that will handle not creating the monopoly. So few stakeholders can capture most of the stuff, or they will suffer. So distribution of the wealth, the local community, environmental group. So we need to balance out, the advantages of the approach, inclusivity and responsiveness in different stakeholders. Fragmented policies and competing the interests are not effectively managed. So we have to lead theory, which can be argue the policy decision are primarily void for the small group of the powerful individuals. We have to wider interest of the public, not just a few, become a billionaire and other public is suffering. So that's, which we need to influence political figures and shaping the policies to serve their interest. While the approach can lead to the decisive coherent policy, we need to be coherently and the correct good coordination and neglecting the need and the voice of the less powerful stakeholder. So it doesn't matter powerful or the minor stakeholder, we need to balance it out. So we have the stakeholder metrics, that's which can be used to power strategy. Then is theory which we can aid the policy through the lens and the class of the struggle, economics exploitation. So we can argue in the tourism policies to serve the interest of the capitalistic elite, of the expensive working class and the marginalized community, not just, you're not giving money to the farmer, you're using their materials and their livelihood. So that's suffering. So prospective is a highlight issue, the labor exploitation, like you not paying, like here is called Modern Slavery Act 2012, which is Theresa May government setup. They said if anyone paying less than the national minimum wage, it's you making the modern slave your worker, and you will be imprisonment up to 10 years and will be unlimited fine. So we have to look around those policies. So culturally codification, which we need to be commoditization as well. So we need to be look around the critical lenses like the power dynamic, and we need to be look around the potential and positive contribution toward the tourism of the economic development. Institutional theories. Any question, please? You can ask. You can stop me.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
So institutional theory, the focus on the role of the formal and informal institution role. That we have clearly SOPs developed, standard operating procedures. If those are not developed, that's the policy is not be. So sometimes institutionally racism, like you being outsider, discovered. So that should be that come under the Equality Act 2010, which is being set up. So in law, you can't discriminate based on race, religion, and color. You're in the queue, you follow the queue. Doesn't matter whoever you are. So implementation and enforcement. However, the rigid institution maybe hinders the innovation and adaptability in the rapid changing tourism. So we have to think about those. So approaches, top-down approach. Top-down is mean the top levels decisions come to the down level, then approaches ensure uniformity and coherent policies. So undercover boss is one of program which is in the development-LO1 is happening. So undercover boss go and look the ground reality and set up the policy, not sitting in office and make the policy. The work in the ground reality can be different. So national tourism strategy often, okay, then the guidance in the regional and the local tourism development. However, it may lack of sensitivity to the local context. So that's why think globally, act locally. So you have to look around the local tradition. So bottom up approach, always you look the local people view, get the feedback, and then develop the strategy. Local community, local stakeholders, we shaping this. What will we bring, for you? Is bring the employment opportunity. This will boost you can your lands can be increase the value if we are setting up the road or infrastructure. Not this will be decrease the value of your land. So we need to be look around their resources should support. Okay. collaborative approach, which is combine the elements of both bottom up. So sometimes we have to make the decision at the top, but we have to consent with the local and the low levels management in making the policy with those stakeholders. So it requires effective coordination and communication. So we have to use the 7 C's of communication. It's combined, it's coherent, it need to be concise, consideration. You have to look around the ability, and in that languages you have to publish, not just in English language. Maybe the local public can't read and write or understand the. Okay, market-based approach is approach, for the economic incentives mechanism to regulate, which we need to be policy tax incentive we can give in certain area, 10-year no tax, if you set up company, and public-private partnership infrastructure. And while these approaches can affect innovation, they may be prioritize the economic goal and environmental, which will carry on. We can give the benefit to those people as using the solar or bringing the solar, because those are the environmentally friendly, or hydropower plants in those are introduced.
Yeah.
So evaluation of the approaches. So each approach, tourism policies have the strengths and the weaknesses. Of course, maybe it's a costly, maybe it's a long-term impact, like smoking ban in the UK. They try to be a ban on advertising. Then they said you can't smoke in the public transport. Then they said you can't smoke in your own home. Then they said you can't display the cigarette in your shop. You have to hide it. The client need to ask, I want to buy the smoke, cigarette packers. So that's, no, they are saying we need to teach in school, and if somebody giving underage smoke cigarette to sell it, and will be imprisonment up to 5 years. So these approaches, we have to look around evaluation in each of these. We can look around the descriptions, the strength and the weaknesses. Of course, we look the pros and cons of each, and then we need to be look around which approach is best, according to elite marketing or institutional or top-down and bottom-up approach. Each has its own advantage. Sometimes the top-down approach, top-level decision can be made quickly and it's a benefit, but the low level, it will be ignored. It can be operational level and the strategic level. So each, has its own advantages and disadvantages, so which we need to be considered when we apply these approaches. Conclusion, which we can look around the different approaches of tourism and reveal the complexity of the balancing diverse interests, achieving sustainable. Each approach offers the valuable insight and the method of policies. We need to be understand the theoretical underpinning and the practical implications. So because level 7, we need to be look around the critically. Any policy always look the different dimension of it, pros and cons. It's not, maybe for the short term, people are very pleased and they do the clapping, and the long people are suffering from these, the policies. We have to look at it. Then 1.2, we have summarized evaluation of the tourism policy. So changing the priorities and the role of the government and promoting and regulating. So we'll carry on regulating, tourism industry, like you can't really buy animals, or within the EU, if you're bringing these things. So we have the clearly tourism policy that shifted from focus on the economics development to more comprehensive approach that include free movement, like, e-visas, e-checkup. So you don't have to follow the queue, scan your passport and go out. So the summarize the historical development of tourism policies, increasing the involvement of the sector. So we have the early stage, post war economic development. So after the Second World War, potentially tourism as the tool of the economic recovery, because like back in 2012 Olympic in the UK boost the huge economy of the UK back in credit crunch in 2008. And then the COVID suffered, and they hired the people from all over the world, and ultimately the money kept in the countries, like a lot of in the public and various sectors. So we have to look around these, and we have to follow accordingly. The government invested in the development infrastructure, HS2, HS3, fast train service. So we have to look around the public-private partnership, and that's, so boost economic activity. And the key feature, the government-driven, infrastructure project and promoting the campaign, and the establishment of National Tourism Board in 1950s and onwards, US and Europe. The campaigns promoting, the road trip to, like, China is doing a lot of this here. the growth and the expansion 1917 and 80, diversification and market development. Tourism policy is extended to include the diversification of the tourists and the product, not people from only one country or other. So like Google is recruiting people from all over the world. So we have to look at the organization development and the government policy towards visa that arrivals and all these need to be diversification strategy and market segmentation and investment, which we need to be, and the cultural and the natural heritage. So Australia promote, unique wildlife and the natural landscape, and Middle East promote the sand, big building and infrastructure, hotel and making, buying and get the residencies and modernization innovation within it. Sustainability and community involvement in 19 and 2000, the sustainable development, the concept is mostly, all the government, especially if you go in Saudi Arabia or Middle East, the water project, less use and care about the water, that's promoting as well. So we have to look at those perspectives. The key environmental regulation, we have to look around those people are polluted, they can be 10% fine of their turnover, or they can be bad press, and there can be, so like focus on ecotourism and establishment of numerous protected areas where biodiversity, you can't really cut the trees without the permission of, even you have to cut the trees, you have to approach to the coast, you can't extend, you can't build the houses. So next we have the globalization and internationalization. Globalization is a huge impact in the world became a global village. So we living a lot of the safety, security, and promoting tourism. Like at the moment is illegal immigrants and all these are like hugely because due to the economics, instability and war and all these are impacting various countries. So sometimes you want it clearly the economically viable tourism industry, but you promoting, are you making the policy to protect the interest? So promoting and responsibility and universal access of the tourism. So contemporary trend 2010 and digital transformation. So that is quite crucial, digitally you can digitalize your e-governments, e-cards, e-booking, like Uber taxis and apps, these are the trend really we need to be make the policies for it. Cybercrime policy. We have ASGC HQ government communication headquarters. That's look the security of the website and our website various others. So digital marketing strategy. So we have to look around the Google, TikTok, not ban them because ultimately these promote, and ultimately bring the revenue for the country. Singapore Smart Nation Initiative, which include the smart tourism project like digital services, digital analytics, and improve like. So the government is spent a lot of money on these, and they are working towards hugely on these. Resilience and crisis management policy during COVID-19 are various government are developing strategy to support the recovery and enhance the resilience of the future shocks. So they have the safety policy, disaster policies in place. If any natural disaster, financial sports and the businesses, health and safety. Health and Safety Act should be in place, like we have a Health and Safety Act 1974 here, in the UK, and we have in the EU and various others. So these recovery packages, like various, but sometimes we have to look around the interest. Like we have an airline, Thomas Cook is. They said they're going to be make people redundant, closing the airline due to the COVID because they can't sustain in the business, and the government said, sorry, we can't inject the money 30 plus million. The reason is if we give you money, we have to give to every airline and everyone will claim. So we don't want to create that culture. So each era we have to look around the post-war development. So at the moment, 2010 and all is more digitalization. So digital, of course, is a huge impact, but infrastructure is required investment. So we have the valuation of the tourism policy demonstrate increasing sophistication and broadening focus over the time. We have to look around the incrementals, and various impact. We need to look around the tourism policy reflecting the balance between economic sustainable and technological resilience, accepting the foreign, not just for the sake of, so those we need to be look around. Okay, so then next one point, just 1 second, sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sorry about. So 1.3, we need to look around the multi-scalar nature and the contemporary. When we look the contemporary, the current issues at the moment, geographical, administrative level, and the global and the national level at the moment is a lot of crimes, the incident happened through. That's the biggest problem we have, relationship between these level, institutional and crucially protecting the interest of everyone, and we have the governance, how we can set the system the best to govern. So multi-scalar approaches, which we can look around in terms of involving interplay, between the different level of the governance and the stakeholders. The approaches we recognize. So like you must have the security guard, you must have the local, safety, you must have the security cameras in place, on various the coordination with the department. Like you entry into the and you have to look around, you buy the SIM, you have to show the passport, you have to show the visas, where you're staying at the hotel. So everything is very well, managed. No one really disturb you, but the policy is in place. Global scale, is the international organization agreement like shopping tourism policy, tax policies, refund policies, standard. These like GST, general sale tax, if you're paying in any country, like you went to Middle East, you bought a laptop, you take it to Pakistan, at the airport of UAE, you are entitled to claim GST back, VAT, value-added tax. So because, these policies, we need to be looking on in the global. So key institutional and the roles, United Nations World Tourism Organization play the key roles in setting the policies in between the government departments and those countries, and they gave the policies and implementation, treating people fairly. World travel and tourism industry, global private sector in the travel industry, giving them license, governing them airline industry, and collaborating with the security industries and various other protecting the interest of every nation. That's need to be internationally labor organization use, within the tourism industry, promoting the decent working conditions. Like, you have the people from abroad, you're not paying less than $1 a day. So these are, so we have to pay the legal wage. So that's why a lot of discussion going around in Middle East. If the people born in the country have the different salary than the people coming from abroad, different salary, that's, discrimination should be removed. So national scale, and formulate and implement, tourism policies in line with the international, guidance and the domestic priorities. So we have to make sure, so in that should be regulated and valued. So key institution and their role, National Tourism Board should be in the country. And those, then we have a local area, tourism places where those people, if they need, local authorities are well aware of national development agencies, those focus on the integrated broader economics and the social development, ensuring. So those we need to be make sure we work towards infrastructure development. Private sector, of course, as we earlier said, play the key roles in the hotel development and the building taller and the policy. But we need to be look around the sustainability instead of if any incident happen, what the health and safety policies in place in your country, those in line with the overall the standard. The local level tourism policy implemented the focus on the community needs, and the local resources should be, local labor should be. If we can't use the local labor, then we can, of course, key institutional and their role, the local government and municipal council play the key roles, like, road safety, road management, lining, spacing, environmental policy, implement community-based organization can be those and independent. And in the UK especially, we have everywhere here the watchdog. Watchdog is the regulator, which is not controlled by the government. This is an independent, semi-structured government institution to help. So those need to be sustainable development. If those polluting hotels and restaurants are not, they follow the guidance, then of course they can be local tourism businesses. Local businesses include small and medium enterprise with a vital on the ground implementation tourism policies and the feed forward is we need to be make sure relationship with the scale organization, multi-scale organization policy, negotiate strong relationship with and coordination with the various policy coherence need to be throughout. It's not just one policy for others and other policies for others. Information sharing between department does need to be and need to be maintained in law and order and capacity building, so the nation and the government have the capacity to handle these, if the flights cancel, what will be happening, so what policies and procedures are in place, stakeholders, or what sort of the things are forbidden, clear information, not at the airport, you have to pay the bribery. So you have a bribery act, like up to 10 years imprisonment, you're being bribed, given bribe to the foreign nationals. So these are the laws 2006. Bribery act is in place here. Those are need to be stakeholder engagement before making. Hello.
Hello, sir.
So these, we can conclude these contemporary issues and policies, and those we need to be tackled, and we should involve with the various stakeholders and sustainability, meeting the needs of current generation without compromising the needs for the future generation. And we have to work towards, and this is also known as the triple bottom line concept, and we need to be work towards that. So to take key terminology policy making process, we need to look around agenda setting should be and discuss with the various stakeholders, and policy formulation and a lot of examples is included in which we can. Decision making means selecting the best option, and implementation, evaluation, and revision of the policies and stakeholders. So it's quite good, which we need to be look around stakeholder mapping. That's and then we have the reference. Yeah. So the key really any policy today was the key. We'll focus on the policy, but when we make the policy, we have to look around the stakeholders and the stakeholders' interest in the wider interest of the public. The key. Any question?
No, it's fine.
Okay, so that's all from my end, and next we look at LO2. And thanks for attending, and have a lovely evening. Happy New Year, and I'll speak to you during your next.
Thank you. You also have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.